Hello, welcome to Just the Dis. My name is Brian, and we talk about Blu-rays here. I'm going to try and do a quick little video with some recommendations and just options for the Kino Lorber While Supplies Last sale. Yes, I know they just did one, but this is different stuff. They do tend to do sales where they have certain parts of their inventory and other things excluded, and so I went through the sale and I pulled out some stuff that I have that might be of interest. Also of interest, check out Aaron Pinn's channel. He always does some great live streams about these kind of sales, and he goes through the website and is more thorough than I can be. So I'll leave a link to his channel for you to check that out as well for more recommendations. But let's get into this here, shall we? Let's start with FX, Brian Brown and Brian Dennehy. Great little movie, directed by Robert Mandel, and it's from 1986. I talked about FX2 in a recent Kino Lorber, whole bunch of Kino Lorber video that I did. And I love FX2, but of course, very near and dear is the first film, which is about a special effects artist played by Brian Brown, who is recruited. Let's see here. Studios seeking him out. It's the Justice Department. So he's recruited by the Justice Department. His assignment to stage an assassination of an important underworld witness. And after he pulls the illusion off, making the informant disappear, he is dumbfounded to learn that he's being, well, I don't want to spoil that, actually. There's some twists and turns in there, and the back gives away a little bit of it. And so in this case, just know that he's a special effects guy that's hired by the Justice Department to stage a murder, and it's really cool what he ends up doing. It was definitely one of those movies that, I'd seen behind the scenes of movies and making and special effects kind of stuff, and this was just really neat to see a character who was that guy. And Brian Brown's very affable, and Brian Dennehy is also. But yeah, good little movie, and has an interview with the director as one of the features. These are going to be all Region A, I think, but I'll let you know if I see any different. So that is FX. Next we have Vigilante Force. This is produced by Gene Corman and written directed by the great George Armitage, who I'm a big fan of. He did Grosse Pointe Blank and Miami Blues and others, and this is one I think is a little less seen in his filmography. As you can see, it stars Chris Christopherson and Jan Michael Vincent, and I want to say, yeah, I thought there was reversible artwork, but this one is, they hired themselves a hero, but all they got was trouble. This slick, fast-moving, and action-packed modern-day Western delivers a strong, dramatic punch. The setting is a small California community that has been turned into a boom town plagued by violence. Vietnam War hero and ex-troublemaker Chris Christopherson is hired to head a vigilante police force. He and his tough squad use violent, strong-arm methods and soon clean up the town and proceed to take it for themselves. Now the town's leaders turn to Christopherson's younger brother, Jan Michael Vincent, to bring an end to the Vigilante Force's reign of terror. And the cast also includes Victoria Principal, Bernadette Peters, Brad Dexter, David Doyle, Andrew Stevens, Paul Gleason, and Londi Anderson, among others. But sort of a little cult item. And this one is cool because it actually has a commentary with George Armitage, which is moderated by Elijah Drenner, who I'm a big fan of. So that's a nice little extra on this one. This one is part of the sale. That's from 1976. Another 70s one here. We have Cops and Robbers from 1973, directed by Aram Avakian. And he did a movie called End of the Road that I know Steven Soderbergh is a huge fan of, and that has Stacy Keach in it. And it's sort of about a guy who loses his marbles and finds a weird culty, I guess, institution that is not necessarily the best place for him. Anyway, I don't want to get into that one. That's not what. Let's talk about Cops and Robbers. This stars Cliff Gorman and Joe Bologna, and it is written by Donald E. Westlake, great crime novelist. And I think his stories are the basis for many films, including like The Hot Rock, and of course I can't think of all of them right now, but a lot of good ones. The Bank Shot, actually, which I don't have handy, but I think is also part of the sale. That's the George C. Scott rob a bank by stealing the building kind of movie. But anyway, pandemonium and hilarity break loose when two rogue New York City cops decide to jump fence and join the ranks of crooks. This sharp-edged satire is a funny, exciting, exceptionally intelligent caper movie loaded with enough twists to keep you guessing to its thrilling end. Disillusioned with life on the force. Let's see here. Cliff and Joe star as New York's finest as they decide to put their badges to use to get into Wall Street brokerage so they can leave with $10 million in untraceable bonds. So that's basically the setup of this. Two cops, living in the suburbs, having a barbecue, sitting around, finally decide, we should really get out of this. How can we do that? And they concoct this scheme. And this one's a lot of fun. It's actually got an interview with Joe Bologna on here. I want to say the Safdies are fans of this one. I feel like I heard them on a podcast talking about New York movies, and they called out Cops and Robbers as something they dug, which made me go back and rewatch it. And I definitely enjoyed it more the second time I watched it. I really like the chemistry between these two, and it's just a great little, 70s cop movie, caper movie. All right. Let's see here. What's next? ZPG, Zero Population Growth. In the tradition of Logan's Run and Soylent Green, Oliver Reed and Geraldine Chaplin star in this dystopian vision of things to come. Under the weight of overpopulation, human society has begun to self-destruct. A policy of zero population growth is put upon citizens in hopes that in 20 years, without new births, we will right the sinking ship that is our planet. Couples are issued dolls to take the place of their children, and neighbors are encouraged to speak out about illicit breeding. So yeah, this is a neat little dystopian film, and it very much is in the tradition of Logan's Run and Soylent Green. I would say it could double nicely with either of those films. That dome you see is like this thing that they do when they catch you breeding. They put you under this dome, and I'm not going to tell you what happens with that, but an interesting one. And it's directed by Michael Campus, and it is from 1972. If you like this sort of dystopian future kind of movie, a little bit downbeat, this is probably one you should check out. This has an audio commentary by film historian Stephen Reifel, which I haven't had a chance to listen to yet, but I do enjoy this film. And definitely, like I said, if you're into that sort of thing, this might be your jam. Next up, we have Zachariah. And this is a sort of psychedelic cult western from 1971. Yeah, I just remember this one was on Anchor Bay DVD, and it was one of those that I thought was, sort of relegated to not having a release for a long time because of the soundtrack, if I recall. But this says it's a brand new HD master from a 4K scan of the original camera negative, the first electric western. Firepower meets flower power in this outrageous western about two thrill-seeking cowboys who rock the range, starring John Rubinstein, Don Johnson, Dick Van Patten, and featuring legendary musicians Country Joe and the Fish and White Lightning. The psychedelic trip through the Wild West is utterly unique film experience. They set out for adventure and join up with a band of rock and roll outlaws. Yeah, so it's a very unorthodox, very unique western, including some scenes of, if I remember, like a band playing in the middle of the desert, and very strange film, but definitely interesting. And if you're into cult cinema, this is another one you might want to check out. This has an audio commentary from film historians Howard S. Berger and Nathaniel Thompson, and an interview with star John Rubinstein. So that is Zachariah. Funny Bones from 1995. This is a really fun and sad movie at the same time. It is Directed by Peter Chelsom, it has a great cast, as you can see. Oliver Platt, Lee Evans, Oliver Reed, again, Leslie Caron, and of course Jerry Lewis. Oliver Platt plays the son of a famous comedian who is Jerry Lewis, and he is not funny. And the opening of the movie is everybody coming to see Oliver Platt's new stand-up show, and his dad is there in the audience, and he bombs terribly, and so bad that he decides to go back to Liverpool, England, where his dad grew up, and kind of see if he can find some funny people in Liverpool, if I recall. I think it's Liverpool. Maybe it's not. Anyway, so that's sort of the gist of it. But it's actually a pretty long movie. It's 128 minutes. But it's a really interesting one. I would say it has some DNA with something like King of Comedy. And obviously that's partially because Jerry Lewis is in it, but also because it's about funny, you know, being funny and people who have funny in their bones. There's a great speech that Jerry gives his son, Oliver Platt, when he's basically telling him, look, you're not funny. It's okay, but that's just how it is. And then there's some other weird stuff that I won't get into. There's a lot of weird little side tangents and things, but I really enjoy this one. I'm really a big fan of it. And this has an audio commentary with director Peter Chelsom, moderated by, again, Elijah Drenner. And director Peter Chelsom with star Lee Evans discussing the film as well. So that is a really good one that I'm a big fan of, and underrated and underseen, I think. Funny Bones. Shift gears here to some noir with He Ran All the Way, John Garfield and Shelley Winters, newly remastered in HD. Nick Roby, John Garfield, is a dim-witted thug who lives with his mother, and scrapes by on petty crime. He and his slick accomplice plot a big-time payroll robbery, but their plan goes horribly awry when they're discovered by a uniformed policeman. A shootout ensues, leaving Al and the cop wounded and Nick on the run. While seeking cover, Nick meets Peggy Dobbs, Shelley Winters, a lonely young girl who takes Nick to her family's apartment. While there, the paranoid thief decides to take the family hostage until he can escape. This was the great John Garfield's final film. He died less than a year later at age 39 from heart complications. And it's a really great performance. It's a hostage movie, but it's a gritty noir, and it was unavailable, I believe, for a really long time. I don't even know if there may have been a DVD as part of maybe a Columbia or some kind of noir set. But this one was definitely harder to see for some time, so I was really excited when it got a nice Blu-ray. It is from 1951, and well worth checking out. No extras on this one. Thunderbirds Argo and Thunderbirds 6. Jerry Anderson double bill here with the famous Thunderbird family, very much like the predecessor to G.I. Joe, I guess, in some ways, They have a great, base that they live at, and they all have these, cool vehicles, and of course they are puppets. It's a, animated film, it's in terms of that, and was a big influence on the South Park World Police movie. Why can't I think of the name of it? You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, it's very much like that kind of thing. But just sort of 60s slick spy stuff. Thunderbirds Argo is from 66, and Thunderbirds 6 is from 68. This was a TV show before the movies, and I do recommend you check out the Thunderbirds I think it's the complete series from Shout Factory, which I also have on Blu-ray. They're just fun to watch. It's cool to see these marionette puppet family people and their cool vehicles, and like I said, it's sort of a G.I. Joe before G.I. Joe kind of thing, and it's a blast. And this one actually has 2 discs, so they're not on the same disc, which is nice. I think Twilight Time had put this out previous to this, and it was all on one disc, if I recall. But Thunderbirds Are Go has an audio commentary by producer Sylvia Anderson and director David Lane, and audio commentary by film historians Jeff Bond and Nick Redman. So that's straight from the Twilight Time discs. And then featurettes, History and Appeal, about 11 minutes. Factory Dolls and Rockets, 8 or 9 minutes. Epics and Miniatures, 8 minutes, and more. Actually, they don't even list all the featurettes on here. There's lots of little featurettes. And the same thing is basically, well, not all of it. So you have an audio commentary on Thunderbird 6 by Sylvia Anderson and director David Lane. Audio commentary by filmmaker Greg Ford and cartoon writer William Hohauser. And then a whole bunch more featurettes on that one as well. And they're a lot of fun to watch. These are both 2.35:1 widescreen films. And they are a blast if you're into sort of kitschy, culty 60s cinema, especially animation. So check these out. Part of the sale. Okay. This is the lone DVD that I have. And I haven't even gotten a chance to open this one up yet, but it's Really Weird Tales. As you can see, it's all SCTV alums. John Candy, Martin Short, Joe Flaherty, Catherine O'Hara. And it says top comedic talent hits new heights of zaniness in this 3-episode parody of classic sci-fi shows like Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits. Joe Flaherty hosts this wonderfully clever, bizarre, and delightfully funny Really Weird Tales. Yeah, so you have basically 3 episodes of them sort of making fun. I mean, it's very much like SCTV. I can't remember. I don't think it was actually done for SCTV. I think it's sort of a spin-off kind of thing, but I could be wrong about that. But regardless, if you like SCTV, you like these actors, and I do. This has not gotten a Blu-ray, and I don't know that it will. It is 1:3:3:1 TV ratio. But that is part of the sale, if you're into that. Phobia. This one is intriguing. It's directed by John Huston, and it's a brand new 4K master. And murder put an end to their fears. The phobia-ridden patients undergoing a unique therapy of treatment with Dr. Peter Ross, Paul Michael Glazer from Starsky and Hutch. Now a face of new terror, murder. One by one, they're being killed off, and the finger points to everyone. So it's sort of a experimental therapy, goes murder, kind of crazy thriller. And I remember liking it. I don't remember loving it. It's from 1980, so it's a little later in John Huston's career. But this has an audio commentary by Paul Korup of Ken Exploitation and film historian Jason Pachonsky. Interview with lead actress Susan Hogan and interview with actress Lisa Langlois, who I've talked about on this channel, who I like very much from Deadly Eyes, the rat movie. But if you're into, a terrifying psychological thriller, a late, John Huston, again, sort of a cult item, this might be worth your time. Also part of the sale. The Couch Trip. This is directed by the great Michael Ritchie. And as you can see, it stars Dan Aykroyd and Walter Matthau. And, of course, Aykroyd's wife, Donna Dixon, Richard Romanus, Ari Gross, and more. Dan Aykroyd is running the asylum and ruling the airwaves as a mental patient turned talk radio shrink in this comedy of loony proportions, co-starring Charles Grodin, as well as the others I mentioned, and Chevy Chase. When asylum inmate John Burns, Aykroyd intercepts a call to his psychiatrist. He brashly impersonates the good doctor, and he does such a good job that he's given an offer to fill in for a stressed-out Beverly Hills celebrity psychologist, Charles Grodin, as the host of a call-in radio advice show. So that's the setup, and it's a lot of fun. And I haven't seen this one in years, but I definitely want to check it out again. I picked it up for the fact that I remembered enjoying it, and it's definitely lesser-seen Aykroyd, and who doesn't love Matthau and Charles Grodin? I mean, come on. Couch Trip. Ruby Gentry. This is, again, a little bit of a left turn here. This is David O. Selznick produced from 1952. Stars Jennifer Jones, Charlton Heston, Carl Malden, and is directed by King Vidor. I remember this one being sort of their love ignited a deadly passion. She can never be part of his world, but she can tear his world apart. Jennifer Jones delivers a powerful performance as a strong-willed Southern beauty from the wrong side of the tracks in this bold, sweeping drama co-starring Charlton Heston and Carl Malden. She was raised in the rugged swamplands. He was born into wealth and privilege. Yet, from the moment Ruby first laid eyes on Bulky, I forgot that was his name, Heston's name, she vowed to have him for her very own. Now the residents of a small tidewater town will do everything in their power to stand in her way, but they've never seen a passion like this one. They've never met a woman like Ruby. Directed by King Vidor, Duel in the Sun and the Fountainhead. I just remember this being a real fun performance from Jennifer Jones and Heston. I feel like I saw this in a theater, maybe the Cinematheque in Los Angeles, but it was just one of those like star-crossed romance, you know, kind of Tennessee Williams adjacent kind of thing. And she was just really good, and Heston was chewing it up, and it was a blast. I just remember really digging this one. So I saw this as part of the sale. I wanted to include it. Clam Bake, Elvis Presley, 1967. Weirdly enough, this is one of my favorite Elvis movies. And it's kind of a, you know, rich guy switcheroo, Prince and the Pauper, if you will, rich guy switcheroo, you know, kind of story. Let's see here. Vying for the attentions of the lovely Shelley Fabares, Elvis finds himself caught up in a rivalry between Playboy Bill Bixby. So weird to me that Bill Bixby is in multiple, I believe multiple Elvis films, and it's just strange to see him playing kind of the heel, you know? I'm just so used to him on The Incredible Hulk, so it was just weird to know that he had this whole career, obviously, before that. Against a tuneful background of comedy, romance, and speedboat racing, Clambake is a pleasing escapist entertainment. Let's see here. Yeah, it's a hip version of the Prince and the Pauper as Elvis relinquishes his oil baron father's fortune and trades in identities with a penniless water ski instructor, Will Hutchins from TV's Sugarfoot, to learn about life from the bottom up. So yeah, it's that kind of a story, and it's got some fun musical numbers, including the opening song, Clambake, which is incredibly catchy, and I dare say will get caught in your head once you start singing it. In fact, I can feel it coming on in my head right now. I'm having to fight not singing the song right now myself. It's really catchy stuff. But goofy fun for me. Just one of the silly, fun Elvis movies. Let's see, just a few more here. Chamber of Horrors. This is the 1940 version, not to be confused with the 60s version, I think, that's coming from Warner Archive down the line a little bit. This is newly mastered in HD, and it is based on the classic novel The Door with Seven Locks by Edgar Wallace, and it was the second Wallace adaptation brought to the States by Monogram Pictures. Holds one of the, let's see here, Dr. Minetta holds one of the 7 keys that will open the crypt of Lord Selford, who is entombed with a fortune in jewels. Before long, the other 6 key holders start turning up dead. Is the doctor the killer or just the next victim? Drips with atmosphere, adding all the classic old dark house trappings, fog, chambers, corridors, rats, coffins, and more. So if you're into that sort of Mystery of the Wax Museum-y, House of Waxy kind of vibe, this is a little lower budget than that since it's Monogram, but it is interesting, definitely. And it has an audio commentary from film historian David Del Valle and filmmaker Kenneth J. Hall. So that's cool. And if you like robot movies, why not watch Tobor the Great? And this is newly remastered in HD as well from 1954. This is from, I want to say, I'm trying to remember the producer on this. I'm probably thinking of another movie, but it's a Republic Pictures movie. It says, a man-made monster with every human emotion. To avoid the life-threatening dangers of a manned space exploration, Professor Nordstrom creates a highly advanced form of artificial intelligence capable of piloting a starship to other worlds. In order to transmit alien data, the extraordinary robot is infused with a powerful telepathic device that enables it to instantly read and feel emotions. Danger strikes when a sinister band of covert agents kidnaps Gadge, the professor's 10-year-old grandson, but Gadge has a powerful ally, for he has developed a psychic emotional bond with his grandfather's robot, Tobor. Let's see here. Gadge's captors must suffer the wrath of the protective friend and face a mechanical monstrosity bent on killing a killing rampage of revenge and destruction. So, yeah, kind of like Forbidden Planet, but like a little more murdery. So, this one has an audio commentary by the great Richard Harlan Smith, who I'm a big fan of, and I didn't even realize he had done a commentary on this one, so now I'm more excited to listen to that. That's what Tobor looks like, getting mad, choking somebody out. So that's Tobor. And then last, I don't know, this one just sort of felt like I should mention it because I've been, the family's been really into Cobra Kai lately, and this, of course, stars the great Martin Kove. Full-on makeup there, little Halloween costume idea for anybody that's interested. That's some pretty easy makeup to apply. This is from 1987. You don't recruit John Steele, you unleash him. When the police needed someone to stop the Vietnamese mafia, there was only one chance. The Vietnam War didn't end for John Steele. It just changed locations. Martin Kove stars as Steele, a battle-hardened, spirit-scarred vet unable to find his niche in mainstream America. But when Southern California's drug-running Vietnamese mafia murders his best friend, Steele finds a new war to fight and unleashes an action-packed array of blazing firepower, deadly finesse, and known as Steel Justice. Written and directed by Robert Boris, Electroglide in Blue. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. And featuring a top-notch cast that includes Sella Ward, Ronnie Cox, let's see here, Al Lung, Jan Gan Boyd, and Sarah Douglas. Yeah, this, I remember liking this for what it was, you know, that sort of like Canon Films adjacent offshoot kind of movie. And yeah, so Martin Kove, if you're feeling like getting a Martin Kove fix, Steel Justice, also part of this sale. So that is a whole bunch of Kino stuff for you to check out from the sale. Sorry that went way longer than I thought it would, but I'll leave a link to the sale in the notes below. If you like these sort of sale, you know, suggestion videos, give this a thumbs up and maybe a comment about something you liked from the video or something you want to buy from this sale or something you've bought from Kino recently even. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.